Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Moneyline MMA coverage of UFC Fight Night Grasso vs. Schevchenko 2. The title fight is coming back in a Mexican-themed card with a whole bunch of Mexican fighters on it. Grasso will be defending her belt in a rare championship fight on a Fight Night card. So this will be Jose and my picks, winning picks and bets. And before we get to that, let's quickly recap from last week. Boy, did Izzy have a tough night. He looked unlike himself. I think anyone who watched that fight doesn't really need to be explained what happened there. And, considering it was both in Jose and I's 5-weight, that's a tough loss to take. But, really outside of that, it went really well for Jose specifically, as Jose took Volkov, who ended up getting a rare Ezekiel choke, where I had Tuivasa. But Justin Tafa getting the job done, Tyson Pedro with a celebration that I loved. And, it was pretty much business as usual. Jose and I are talking about Manel Kape's antics on the mic after his win, which is like hilarious, but at the same time, I'm sure at the same time, it is pay-per-view, so I doubt they even got fined. It's just like against the norms, so people aren't happy about that. But regardless, let's start as usual with our 5 weights. And just as a quick reminder, we give you guys our picks in a weight system in which our 5 weights are our most confident picks and our 1 weights are our least confident picks, to give you a tiered system of picks and confidence as well. So that being said, we start with our most confident picks. If you guys just want to hang around and listen to our most confident picks, feel free. If you guys want to listen till the end, we really appreciate it. And comment down below at the end who you agree or disagree with, because it's almost never the case when Jose and I agree on the same fight. All fights, at least. We'll agree on a couple, but not all. So that being said, we're going to start tonight with my 5 weight of this Saturday. And I'm going with a card, with a fight in the middle of the card here, and it's going to be a bantamweight matchup between Raul Rosas Jr. and Terrence Mitchell. It just so happens to also be the biggest line on this card right now that I'm seeing. Raul Rosas a minus 620 favorite, and Terrence Mitchell a plus 400 dog. This is just like one of the biggest, and it's moved too. It opened at like minus 550, and more money coming on Raul Rosas, a guy who's coming off of a loss. He had so much hype, and all of a sudden Christian Rodriguez ended it, who's a young stud of his own, and now they're feeding him Terrence Mitchell. And I word it feeding him is because Terrence Mitchell does not have any UFC experience. His previous fights are in other promotions that are definitely respectable, but I do think they're giving Rosas like a reset fight here in the UFC again, to try and regain his confidence to continue his rise. These guys are both extremely, I guess Rosas is still 18, and Terrence Mitchell is, I shouldn't say that he's young necessarily, but he's also not old for the MMA game at 33. So, Jose, what do you have for this one?
Yeah, so for this one, I actually have Terrence Mitchell, and he's my 4-weight. I was actually pretty surprised to see him be this big of an underdog because, yeah, you mentioned he's not had much UFC experience, but he actually does date back in 2016 on The Ultimate Fighter. He actually lost in the first round to Kai France. He got KO'd, and that's pretty much how his last fight went too, against Cameron Simon. But Cameron Simon, he is a prospect. I think he's scarier than Rosas. The reason being is he's 9-0 right now, and he's a finishing machine. So I honestly think Terrence Mitchell, it's just the matchups that he's getting at the times that he's coming in. He's on The Ultimate Fighter, gets KO'd first round Kai France. And now, he makes his UFC debut at UFC 290, TKO'd in the first round by Cameron Simon. These are not like average Joe dudes. And I think the last fight too, Raul was kind of a little exposed, I guess. Terrence Mitchell overall has more experience than Raul, and I think that's going to play a key factor here. I truly do think it's just how they lined up. I mean, this dude, prior to losing to Cameron Simon before he entered the UFC, he was an unbelievable winning streak dating back to 2011. So that being said, I think this actually I could be really wrong on this, but it possibly could be a mismatch for Raul. And the reason I say that too is just again is the experience and Terrace Mitchell. He has a reach advantage, of a 7-inch reach advantage as well. So I think that may play a key factor as well. He is older. He's 33, but that's not really old. I think right now he may be is still like either in the middle of this prime or entering his prime. And yes, he did lose to Cameron Simon too, but there's definitely levels to this, and I think Cameron Simon as well in the future, moving forward, is going to be a big problem in the UFC. So for this one, yeah, I have Terrace Mitchell. I'm pretty surprised to see him be this big of an underdog. I feel pretty strong about him, so I do have him as my 4 weight.
Gotcha. So yeah, this will be a pretty heavy confidence disagreement, almost a complete best bet disagreement, which is really rare because we don't discuss these until right before the show. And I totally get what you're saying. You do bring up some good points. Personally, I'm still obviously not swayed as my confidence is really high in Raul Rosas. I think part of the reason too is that looks like his previous Terrence Mitchell's previous experience is the Alaska Fighting Championship. I'm just not sure how much like talent they really have there, and I do understand that in the Ultimate Fighter he fought an amazing stud, a title challenger in Kai Kara France. It was a round 1 knockout loss, so it's not like he really contended that well in the fight, in my opinion. So for those reasons, I'm still pretty confident in Raul Rosas. I think it won't by no means will it be easy, and I don't think Rosas is just going to jump on his back in round 1 and finish him like Paddy Pimblett in his debut or something. But I do think Raul Rosas is going to prove to be the bigger dog in this fight. So, yeah, that being said, Jose has his 4 weight on Terrence Mitchell, and I've got my 5 weight on Raul Rosas Jr., and we will move over next to Jose's most confident 5 weight pick.
Yeah, so for my 5 weight pick, this is the matchup between Fernando Padilla and Kyle Nelson. Right now, Padilla is the betting favorite at minus 265, while Nelson is the betting underdog at plus 200. Last time, I don't remember if I went with Fernando Padilla when he went against Julian Erosa, because I remember there was questions about him being inactive for 2 years, and historically he's known as being a finisher, and he's got out of his 15 wins, 8 are by submission and 5 are by KO. And he comes back and KOs Julian Erosa in the first round. And because of that, I'm a believer. He's 26 years old. I think he's going to be a problem as well in the future. Kyle Nelson, he's been kind of like up and down, up and down. He's lost to 1-1, lost to a draw, and he just most recently just did come off a unanimous decision win. So I just don't think he's been as consistent as Fernando Padilla. So for that, I do feel pretty strong about him. He is a big favorite, so he is my 5 weight. What are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
I agree with you on Padilla, man. He is my 4 weight, so we're flip flopping 5 and 4 weights. But on this one, instead of disagreeing, we're definitely going to agree. I think Padilla is an absolute dog. I think his size advantage is going to help. He has a 5-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. He's a big dude for 145 pounds, and I think he's able to use it well. He clearly knocked out Julian Erosa. And I'm very impressed by that. Kyle Nelson's taken a few tough losses, a couple by decision, but also getting knocked up by Billy Q, who you and I had the pleasure of meeting here in Nashville. That was awesome. So I always root for Billy Q now. But in any case, Kyle Nelson's been finished multiple times within the distance in his career, and I really think Padilla could be putting the pressure on here to get the finish again against Kyle Nelson. So I'm not sure I'll have any solid money on it, but I would look towards even potentially Padilla by KO, because Padilla's minus 265 is a little steep. He's definitely a good parlay piece. But yeah, you're going to have to bet 265 to win 100 on Padilla. I definitely think it'll happen, though. So Padilla's my 4 weight.
Yeah, I'm agree with you on that, Nick. Like I said too, he is a finisher. So if I were to put it down, I would say yeah, I would say this one definitely goes within the 3 rounds. I definitely think he can get enough done. Possibly, Nelson's only been submitted once, but I can still see him. I can still see Padilla probably submitting him. even the KOs too. Padilla's got it all, but I think mostly maybe a submission. But that being said, yeah, we'll both agree on this one. He is my 5-weight, and he is your 4-weight. We both Nick and I for Fernando Padilla.
Cool. Yep, that sounds like the MMA money lion best bet of the week right now. It's really impossible just based on the weight system for us to have any more confidence weight wise in any individual fighter. So Fernando Padilla takes the cake for our most confident pick combined here. Individually, I'm a little bit more confident in Rosas Jr., but Jose's pick deflects from that. That being said, let's move on to the 3 weights of the night. Since we've discussed both of our 5s and 4 weights, this moves now, just as a quick reminder, to our 3rd most confident picks of the night. We started with our most confident. We're going to our least confident, but still confident enough picks. And we are now on my 3rd 3 weight. We're going to move over to the main event for this 3 weight. The ladies that are holding down the fort in terms of height for this event, because Alexa Grasso is putting her belt on the line in a rematch, a well-deserved rematch for sure, as Valentina Shevchenko was essentially the unquestioned best female fighter before she took the submission loss in the championship rounds to Grasso to lose the belt. Kind of a rare outcome there for Grasso. Maybe not that rare because she did submit Joanne Wood as well in 2022. But in most cases, Alexa Grasso got submitted by Tatiana Suarez and otherwise wins her fights by decision. This is going to be really interesting. But as far as my 3-weight goes, man, I'm taking the underdog. We have Alexa Grasso at plus 142 defending her belt against Schevchenko at minus 184. And I love to see that plus money is there. I think that's amazing value. Alexa Grasso to me displayed that she has potential, and if she isn't already a better boxer, stand up against 1v1, just head to toe against Valentina Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko is going to need to incorporate some other parts of her game, but in essence, Grasso already showed that she could submit Shevchenko. So Valentina might be a little bit nervous to try the wrestling method. She's landed 3 to 5 takedowns on just about every one of her opponents previously, and she even took down Grasso 4 times in their first fight, and it ended badly for her. So will she continue to do that? And if she doesn't, I think she's putting herself in a spot where she's just not as competitive. I think Grasso is just the better woman in terms of boxing. So give me Grasso on a pretty confident 3-weight. What do you have, Jose?
Yeah, Nick. So yeah, like yourself, I'm going with Alexa Grasso too. I'm siding with the underdog on this, the champ. But I'm not as confident. She is my 1-weight, my least confident pick because she did have a fantastic submission win, but I truly believe from what I recall, she was falling behind in that fight with Valentina Shevchenko, and Valentina Shevchenko has been nothing but dominant prior to that loss. And yes, she's bounced back. She's lost before to Amanda Nunes. She's lost twice to Amanda Nunes. Alexa Grasso, this one to me is almost like a coin flip. It can go either way because I totally can see Valentina taking it back and dominating a little more. But Alexa Grasso, she does have, like you said, she does have the better hands in my opinion as well. Her boxing, she lands 4.88 significant strikes per minute, while Valentina Shevchenko lands 3.29. Alexa definitely the better boxer, and I do think Valentina Shevchenko is the better grappler. But last time, like you said, Alexa Grasso was not like, she was able to submit Valentina, so maybe Valentina is going to be a little hesitant this time in how she engages the grappling department with Alexa Grasso, knowing that Alexa Grasso now probably has more confidence and is willing to engage with her in grappling as well because she has a win over him via submission. So I think that Valentina, I think she's just well-rounded and dominant. She has phenomenal kicks and she can play the point system as well. So I think it just depends on who comes in and initiates their game plan. If Alexa Grasso can stay put and even kind of something similar to Sean Strickland, just stay true and check the kicks that Valentina's going to throw away and keep the sharp, crisp boxing. I can even see Alexa Grasso coming back and doing a unanimous decision win over Valentina Shevchenko. I think it would go the distance, and I think she would finish her. She can beat her there. But again, Valentina has historically been extremely dominant. So for me, it's almost a coin flip. So that's why Alexa Grasso is my 1-weight for this one.
Yeah, man, you bring up some really good points. for how dominant Shevchenko was, and honestly, she was making a pretty solid turnaround in the championship rounds. I think Grasso was getting pretty gassed. I have up right now the stats from their first fight, and Grasso was out, at least in terms of total strikes, was out striking Shevchenko in the first 3 rounds. But Shevchenko was doing a great job of landing more significant strikes, which is really just defined in my recollection as a strike at distance. So Shevchenko is much more of a sniper striking wise, but she has less volume. And I agree that she's probably the better grappler, but in the end, it kind of screwed her over in terms of letting her guard down. I presume that's not going to happen again. She's not going to let her guard down and get submitted. But I also presume that Grasso is training and practicing to her own right at defending takedowns and dominating the fight on the feet. So we'll see. But yeah, we both agree I'm a little bit more confident than Jose on this one.
Yeah, so for this one, yeah, both Nick and I have Alexa Grasso. Nick has her as his 3-weight, and she is my 1-weight. So then I guess moving forward to my 3-weight, this one I'm pretty excited about as well. It's the welterweight bout between Kevin Holland and Jack Della Maddalena. Right now, Kevin Holland is the betting underdog at plus 108, while JDM is the betting favorite at minus 130.
Hey, Jose,
for this
I think
one,
we lost you
I'm
there
gonna be
for a
straight up.
second.
I'm gonna go with Jack Della Maddalena.
You there, Jose?
Over. Was that? Was that?
I think we lost
Yeah.
you there for a second. I can hear you now, though.
Okay. Oh, okay, good.
So we didn't hear you at first for a second, just so you can start over.
Oh, okay, yeah. So for this fight, I have Jack Della Maddalena as my 3-weight.
Okay.
And right now, yeah, he is the betting favorite at minus 138, while Kevin Holland is the betting underdog at plus 108. For this one, yeah, I got JDM. He's looked phenomenal. Right now being fifth, he's undefeated in the UFC, and his last fight against Basile Basile came in and he looked. I think I actually had him almost winning that fight too. And yeah, he won it via split decision, so it was a close one. But before that, he was on a phenomenal run of having 4 first-round finishes in the UFC. Kevin Holland, everyone knows Kevin Holland. He did the unthinkable and was able to submit Michael Chiesa in the first round. So this one, I do have. I think JDM is going to be a little more technical in this one when it comes to the grappling department. So I am siding with Jack Della Maddalena on this one as my 3-weight. Kevin Holland, an extremely dangerous Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, I think we lost you there for another second there, Jose. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you too. I actually lost some connection. I don't know what's up with the connections right now. I don't know if
I heard most of what you were saying, and then you started saying about something about Kevin Holland being dangerous. Yeah, it seems we're definitely having some connection issues here with Jose. I pardon the interruption here. It can be tough with Jose and I not being in the same area. We don't live, so we're not able to be on the same microphone and hence use the same internet, which can lead to some problems. Jose is currently very serious, as you can see, taking it serious in terms of getting it fixed. So until then, we can rest easy knowing that his 3rd weight pick is JDM. And my inclination on this fight is that I agree. I have JDM as my 1 weight. So I do agree with Jose, and I'm a little less confident. It's kind of funny that we actually switched odds there. My Jose might be able to rejoin. Hey, Jose.
Hey, sorry about that. I was having some connection issues.
It is what it is, man. Hey, we that's what happens in the modern age. I'm glad you're back.
Oh yeah.
So I was just telling them that I agree with you, and we heard most of what you said. I think, in that you have JDM as your 3 weight, and you recognize Holland's dangerous, but um, yeah, I agree with you on JDM. He is my 1 weight. I think his win against Basil Hafez is a little concerning to me, and that's why it's my 1 weight. Because if I'm remembering correctly, it was like a pretty last minute replacement. Like the guy he was supposed to fight canceled, and Basil kind of stepped up. And Basil's a beast, don't get me wrong, but he did not have a whole camp. And it really makes you wonder how much different this fight perception would be if Basil was granted a full camp and kicked JDM's ass. Because it was almost pretty close. Like you said, I could have seen Basile winning that. I mean, he got outstruck out the wazoo for sure, but his takedowns made the difference. Now, that's the one thing with Kevin Holland, and that's why I still take JDM in this fight, because Kevin Holland isn't necessarily a big time wrestler. He will get a KO, and he will take you down occasionally. But honestly, I think it's something like in like 70% of his UFC fights, he doesn't land a takedown anyways. So unless he's building it into his game plan specifically, I think this is going to be sort of a standing up boxing match. And then to me, it becomes how big will the size advantage matter? Kevin Holland has 8-inch reach advantage and like 4-inch height advantage on Jack. So Alexander Volkanovski's proved that it's not all about having the size. You can still pick people apart from the inside, even if you're not necessarily the tallest guy. But that's going to be something that JDM has to overcome that he hasn't really seen. I guess Randy Brown is a good comparison, because Randy Brown is the same height and a little less reach. So I will say that the fact that JDM beat Randy Brown is a big advantage as well. But Randy Brown is a little bit less of a jiu-jitsu kind of person than Kevin Holland is. So I'd like to see what would happen there. And in the end, I agree on the JDM pick. I'm just a little more hesitant.
No, yeah, I hear you. So, especially because he just entered the rankings as well. So this matchup is definitely interesting to me. For some reason, I feel because Kevin Holland's like above him, not too far off. So, I like the matchup a lot. This win over Kevin Holland would definitely, I think, cement JDM's progression towards the top 10 as well. Because by this point, yeah, Kevin Holland is definitely a vet as well. So I think this one overall, yeah, I got JDM. I'm not as strong to he is my 3 weight because I do see him kind of in the middle. I definitely a little less confident, obviously, in Alexa Grasso and my next pick, but he's kind of in the middle. This one I don't want to say is like a coin flip, but if Kevin Holland were to win, I wouldn't be surprised if it was something just surprising us like off the bat, just kind of like how he came over that win with against Chiesa by submitting him. So that being said, yeah, I do have JDM like you. I agree with you, Nick.
Sounds good. That leaves us with the last pick of the night, which is a lightweight bout. That will be the second fight of the card. This will be Daniel Zellhuber versus Christos Giagos. Giagos. I'm not exactly sure if I'm getting his last name right there, but we have Zellhuber at plus one or minus 265. Excuse me. Big favorite. Giagos is a plus 200 dog. And in this one, I'm actually taking the dog here. Zellhuber definitely has some aspects of him that are scary. And one of those aspects is his size, his reach advantage. But in all reality, he has very little experience outside of that. He's 13-1, and that's a much better win-to-loss ratio than Christos at 20-10. But there is a clear experience difference there. Christos has seen some of the top-end UFC fighters like Gilbert Burns, Charles Oliveira, and Arman Sarukian, who are all guys that are at the top of the division at this point. And those are like really respectable losses to take, in my opinion. So you can make the argument also that he hasn't really beat anyone that impressive, which is fair. But neither has Daniel Zellhuber outside of maybe Lucas Almeida in the Contender Series. So that being said, I have two weight on Gallegos on Christos. What do you have, Jose?
Yeah, I was gonna say Gallegos. He also has a win. I mean, not wins, but he has experience over Josh Emmett and Gilbert Burns back in the day too, in 2014, 2016. So, and then Shamil in 2000, Nikov in 2017. So he's definitely seen some dude. He's seen the dudes back in his heyday. He hasn't won against them, but yeah, he's got the experience for sure down. For this one, I'm going with Daniel Zellhuber, because I think he he may be like, man, he looked phenomenal right now, being 13-1. He can finish people. More than half of his wins come via KO. And from what I recall, yeah, I'm pretty sure he has a reach advantage too. Yeah. So he has the reach advantage. He has a 77-inch reach, while Christos has a 71 and a half. And even though Daniel Zellhuber hasn't been in the UFC long, he does throw a high significant amount of strikes per minute. He lands 5.44 significant strikes, while Christos lands 2.86. In the grappling department, Christos is definitely the better grappler. He has a takedown average of 3.16, but Daniel Zellhuber has never been submitted in his career, so I'm not sure if that's going to be a major issue. Thus far in the UFC, he does have a 91% takedown defense, so this one's definitely going to be more on the feet. And if it's going to be on the feet, I'm going to go with the younger Zellhuber, just because he has that reach advantage as well, and he lands more strikes per minute. But I'm not as confident in it as well. That's why he is my two weight. Just because the biggest factor I do have for Christos is that he's got more experience in the UFC, and even though he doesn't have win against them, he has seen like top level competition throughout his career. So for this one, yeah, I got Daniel Zellhuber as my two weight. I am definitely obviously a little less confident in Alexa Grasso because of how big Valentina Shevchenko has historically been. But if it wasn't for that fight, this would probably be my one weight. But
Okay.
at the end, yeah, Daniel Zellhuber is my two weight.
Fair enough. So we'll actually be disagreeing, I think, on three of the five fights coming on Saturday. In our top picks, we agree on, one we disagree on. So our best lock of the week is definitely looking to be Padilla. Definitely Padilla. Fernando Padilla. So just keep that in mind, boys, when you're making your parlays, that we recommend betting Padilla in those parlays. Thanks to anyone that was watching and or listening. Let us know in the comments below who you agree and or disagree with, what your final bets will be, and how you're going to be watching the UFC fights this weekend. We got a couple of more cards coming up here. I think this card and then one more card after that. And then we have a little bit of a break for a couple of weeks in a row, I believe. So we'll be back at it again, as always, next week to discuss the final cards that I believe we'll see in September. And then we won't be back until the first pay-per-view of October. So yeah, thanks again for listening, guys, and have a great rest of your afternoon.